Hi there, welcome to Wednesday edition of This Is Exclusive. Big day for democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. Massive turnout being reported. In fact, in some constituencies, it's up 70% and more. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to get you exclusive elements to understand what's really happening in Jammu and Kashmir, why it's working, why democracy is doing fantastically well in the Union Territory now after abrogation of Article 370. Also, big day for democracy in India, in fact, as the Modi government accepts the Kovind panel report on one nation, one election. In fact, very soon, mechanisms would be put in place, possibly a constitutional amendment brought in, and we'll discuss that with one constitutional expert. Also, India reached the riot act to Pakistan on the Indus water treaty. Terror and talks would not go together, and now terror and water will not flow together. India wants to perhaps at some stage abrogate the treaty itself, but then beginning with a notice to Pakistan, we want to renegotiate the 1960 Indus water treaty. All that and more. Let me get you the headlines first.
Presented by Royal Global University. Northeast can't wait. Pado kuch bano.
एनडीए सरकार की कैबिनेट ने आज सर्वसम्मति से इस रिकमेंडेशंस को एक्सेप्ट किया और इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन 2 फेजेस में होगा.
India accepts Kovind panel report on one nation, one poll. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav says that ONOP to be implemented this term. India doubts one nation, one election. Pinarayi says hidden agenda aimed at weakening India's federal structure. Congress says this is against democracy. India sends notice to Pakistan seeking modification of the Indus water treaty. Warns Pakistan, says terror and water don't go together. 24 seats of Jammu and Kashmir go to polls in phase 1. Voter turnout recorded till 5 p.m. above 50%. Probe into Abhaya's rape murder pick space. CBI team probes the CCTV footage from the Tala police station. Lens of suspicion on the cops.
Presented by Royal Global University. Northeast can't wait. Pado kuch bano.
All right, welcome back. After a decade-long wait, Jammu and Kashmir votes for the assembly elections. Over 58% voter turnout till 5 p.m. for the first phase of polling that happened today, with Doda and Kishtwar, both in the Jammu region, leading in the voter turnout. These elections are also crucial as they are happening for the first time since the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. In fact, we have seen such broad basing of democracy this election that even those groups which were traditionally against voting, would discourage voting, would release boycott calls, have in fact participated in this election of franchise. And joining me to understand what's really happening on the ground, what has changed, two young leaders from Jammu and Kashmir, one representing the National Conference, Ifra Jan, the other representing the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Wahid Para. Both are with me now, and they also represent the voice of the youth in the valley. In fact, both very familiar faces. Very good evening, both Ifra and Wahid. And if I could begin with Ifra first. Ifra, would you begin by admitting that this fantastic turnout, which is effectively a repeat of the general elections, underscores that something has changed on the ground? The yearning for democracy has become very strong in the valley and Jammu, of course.
You see, the first things first, in 2010, if you look at the polling numbers in the Panchayat polls, the voter turnout was around 80%. So let's not forget that Jammu and Kashmir has seen voter turnout far higher and far more enthusiastic than what we are seeing right now. At this point, even though we do see a good, it's around more than 50%, which is fairly decent if not good. But let's not forget that these are elections happening after 10 long years. And any place that will see elections happening after 10 long years will see a high voter turnout. In no case can you say that these are voters out to support the BJP government. If that were the case, the BJP wouldn't have shied away from fielding candidates in Kashmir. On half of the seats in Kashmir, they don't have candidates. In Lok Sabha in the Kashmir Valley, they did not have candidates. These are people coming out to end the tyrannical LG rule that Jammu and Kashmir has seen. These are people coming out saying that they need their own representatives.
Okay.
And let's not forget another thing, that these elections are happening not because the BJP government wants them to happen. These elections are happening because the Supreme Court of India mandated through an order that the elections must happen by September 20th and again September 30th. I'm sorry. So these elections in Jammu and Kashmir are not happening because of the BJP. They're happening in spite of the BJP. And this is a tribute to the petitioners who went to the court. This is a tribute to thousands of National Conference workers who in 1990s laid their lives simply because they wanted to participate in democratic process.
Okay, Ifra, you know, I did not make it BJP versus others. I just asked whether the turnout is fantastic, which you admit it is. You, of course, say that in 2010 Panchayat elections. Remember, typically Panchayat elections, the voting turnout across the country are more than the assembly elections. And so that's perhaps getting reflected. But let me take it to Wahid Para. Wahid, you have been very visible in the campaign. You contested the general election also. How do you read this voting pattern? Also, given the fact, as I mentioned initially, that this time there are more participants on the side of contestants also. I think it was earlier just limited to the NC, PDP and of course the Congress, BJP on the Jammu side more. But this time you have the independents, you have the AIP, you have the Apni party, you have the Jamaat, in fact, very openly coming out and contesting independently because they are banned, contesting, and then many of the Jamaat leaders coming out and voting. So for democracy's sake, isn't this good, Wahid?
No, I think Kashmiris have always supported the idea of democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. It's just the mistakes done by Delhi themselves, sometimes by Congress or sometimes by BJP. You know, today when you're talking about, it's definitely a good move that people are participating, and the onus and credit of this participation goes to the people of Kashmir who've been yearning for democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir. This, discrediting of democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir started from 1987 when National Conference and Congress denied a legitimate mandate to the people of Kashmir. Since from then, Jamaat Islamia, separatists, and other organizations, Muslim United Front, stayed away from the political process. The participation today, the churning on the ground today is because Jamaat is participating, other separatist groups are also becoming part of process. And today when you're also celebrating the participation of Jamaat, let me remind you that, just a few years before, the entire organization of Jamaat was criminalized. It's a socio-religious organization. They're not a separatist organization. And when PDP used to assert about it, when Mehabbatji was talking about dialogue with Hurriyat and separatists, the entire BJP was that time, up against arms, that we should not give space to these radicals, these people who are anti-nationals. So I think you need to understand Kashmir is definitely a complex place, but we need to decriminalize these spaces, these organizations who have been banned and who have been pushed to war, who have been pushed to militancy, who have been pushed to Pakistan from 1987. That's why we have 100,000 people died here. If people of Kashmir have decided to participate in a political process, and this democratic process ends deaths in Kashmir, ends militancy in Kashmir, nothing big can happen for idea of India, nothing good can happen idea of Kashmir. We welcome this whole process, but the credit should go to the people of Kashmir. Definitely it's a victory of democracy, but at the same time you need to understand the definitions in Delhi change so fast that today when you say Jamaat participation is good, tomorrow suddenly you may say it's again bad.
Wahid, whenever democracy succeeds, credit should always go to people. Like in the rest of the country, so in Kashmir. Ifra wants to get in. Ifra, before you respond to Wahid, just adding to a question, adding to what you want to say, just You know, earlier it was always just the NC and the PDP. Aren't people happy because they have more options this time? Why always read conspiracy theories?
Firstly, I would like to respond to Wahid Saab's comments. He said that it started in 1987. If you look at Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Saab's journey, it started way back when he was first put in the jail and Bakshi was installed as a puppet prime minister. Later, it was Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq who was installed as another puppet prime minister. In fact, Mufti Muhammad Saeed started his career with Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq, and he was instrumental, for that matter, in ensuring that the prime minister's position was converted to chief minister's position. And then it was the same, it happened to be Mufti Saeed Saab again, who in 1984 toppled an elected National Conference government so that he could give way to more political parties. In 1987, and this is very interesting, no way could have elections been rigged without the central government being on board.
Absolutely.
And guess who was the state president of the Indian National Congress? Guess who was the state president of the Indian National Congress in 1987? It was no other than Mufti Muhammad Saeed. So I think we would definitely need more details on the rigging in 1987, because Mufti Saeed must have been at the heart of it. And in fact, the most crucial allegations on rigging came from
That's
no
why I
other than
asked Ifra.
Bijbehara, which happened to be Mufti Muhammad Saab's home constituency. Now, I will not go into this. Now, coming to Jamaat participation, National Conference fully welcomes Jamaat-e-Islami's participation in democratic politics. And not only that, National Conference wonders that if you're allowing them to participate, why aren't you decriminalizing them? Why aren't you allowing them to fight on their own symbol? Why aren't they allowed to register their own political parties? If there is an organization that says, listen, we want to take oath on the Constitution of India, why does the BJP government have a problem with that? One more thing, you talk about the beauty of democracy. I'll tell you, how is it that a democracy is defeated? A democracy is defeated when people come out in large numbers in Lok Sabha election, and guess how they are rewarded? Right after the Lok Sabha election, the BJP government, using its exclusive powers, amends the State Reorganization Act of Jammu and Kashmir and ensures that other than garbage collection, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, their elected representatives, have no rights. Even when they were converted from a state to a union territory, whatever little powers they had, the BJP government took those powers away after they participated in large numbers. So let's not forget that this is not, as I keep saying, these people are coming out not because of BJP, they're coming out in spite of BJP. Coming to your question on Engineer Rashid and other independent candidates, now I would want to tackle that. First things first, we welcome every independent person coming into the election, we welcome them. But let's not forget why there are certain questions that I would like to ask. Why is it that you have this huge influx of independent candidates in Kashmir Valley, but you do not see a similar influx of independent candidates in Jammu? So far, nobody has been able to give me a good answer to it. My second question I wish there was a BJP spokesperson here, and this is a question I've been asking. The BJP state chief, Ravinder Rana, very openly and clear, and in fact also their national spokesperson Tuhin Sinha, both have made statements I'm ready to show to you, where they very clearly said that they're going to form the government in Jammu and Kashmir with the help of 35 MLAs that the BJP will somehow get and 10 independent candidates. I would definitely like to know that who are these BJP 10 independent candidates who are already in a pre-poll alliance with the BJP government. Let's not forget Engineer Rashid is not, Engineer Rashid's party mostly are fighting as independents. But as I said, everybody is welcome in a democracy. And anybody who says, I want to take oath on the Constitution of India, I believe in the sovereignty of India, I believe in the Akhandita of India, I don't see how they can be called separatists. I don't see why they should be pushed to the wall. I think it should be welcome. And one last point, my last point for the whole show. If the BJP government very rightly, if the BJP government very rightly is allowing people with a separatist background to contest in the elections, I would also request the BJP government that why is it that if these people can become MLAs, and very rightly so, why is it that if some person's family member, a distant family member is a militant, you somehow, even the person may have done nothing, you refuse them government jobs, you refuse them passports. This is the kind of, this civil liberty approach and human rights approach is welcome. And this should also be extended. This should not be made the exception for a few people. This should be extended to everybody in Jammu and Kashmir.
Ifra, thank you so much. You know, within the framework of the Kashmir politics, the valley politics, I think the comments coming in from both of you are welcome. Last word to Wahid. Wahid, can we say conclusively and decisively that Pakistan is no more going to be a factor in the Jammu and Kashmir politics?
I think it's not a factor here. It's a factor for you in Delhi. You know, a lot of people see Pakistan a factor in Kashmir politics because of militancy and infiltration, or because of the incidents that take place here. So there is an external angle to the Kashmir problem because of the conflict and line of control and other issues, because of the security reasons. For us, what's important, we are happy that people are participating. There's high turnout. We want to celebrate it. And also we want decriminalization of all separatist organizations and Jamaat Islamiyah as well. We welcome this step. I think had 1987 not happened, Ifra said a lot of things, details, started blaming, but the point is the crux, the beneficiaries of 1987 was National Conference. Still Kashmiris don't introspect.
That's why she was tossing it on Mufti Muhammad Saeed as the Congress president of the state unit. But you see
Kashmiri Muslim political parties. So this is the root cause of Kashmir problem today. And you have 1 lakh people got killed because you denied democracy to the people of Kashmir.
Fair enough. Encouraging turnout, and of course that's getting reflected in the sense of confidence that we are seeing in the two young voices from the National Conference and the PDP respectively. We'll continue this conversation. Remember, 2 more phases to go. But moving on, the Union Cabinet today decided that they should accept the Ramnath Kovind panel report on the One Nation, One Election. Effectively, if things work out, India soon is going to go back to having its Lok Sabha elections and the State Assembly elections together. Let's listen into that announcement by Union Cabinet Minister and spokesperson Ashwini Vaishnav. Then I come back with an explainer.
कोई भी जब प्रिंसिपल्स डिसाइड होते हैं, अब उन प्रिंसिपल्स को आगे प्रोग्राम्स में कन्वर्ट करना होता है, प्रोग्राम्स को आगे इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में लाना होता है. तो ये जो प्रोसेस है, ये प्रोसेस बहुत ही डिटेल्ड कंसल्टेशन के साथ करेंगे. जो आपने कहा हाई लेवल कमेटी के दौरान भी कंसल्टेशंस हुए थे, यस कंसल्टेशंस हुए, बहुत एक्सटेंसिव हुए, और उसके कारण जो प्रिंसिपल्स डिसाइड हुए, वो प्रिंसिपल्स को आगे इम्प्लीमेंट करना है. उस इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए मान लीजिए कॉमन इलेक्टोरल रोल, एक पूरे देश में एक कॉमन इलेक्शन की जो रोल है वो होना चाहिए, वोटर लिस्ट होनी चाहिए. तो वो वोटर लिस्ट राज्य सरकार के सहयोग के से ही बन पाएगी. सेंट्रल इलेक्शन कमीशन और स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशन दोनों मिलके ही उसको कर पाएंगे ना. तो उसके लिए फिर डिटेल डिस्कशन चाहिए, उसके लिए राज्य सरकारों के साथ चर्चा चाहिए, दोनों कमीशंस के आपस में डिस्कशंस चाहिए. फिर फेजिंग आउट करनी है, तो फेजिंग आउट किस तरह से होगी. फिर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का जो पुलिस का डिप्लॉयमेंट फोर्स है वो देखना होगा, कितना ईवीएम्स चाहिएगा, कितना उसका कितना प्रोक्योरमेंट करना होगा. ये सारी चीज़ों में बहुत बड़ा डिस्कशन चाहिए.
सर मेरा सवाल है सर, कब तक इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, और दूसरा उसके लिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट करना पड़ेगा, आपको 2/3 बहुमत की जरूरत पड़ेगी, वो कहाँ से जुटाएंगे आप?
मैंने कहा आपसे अब विस्तृत चर्चा करेंगे, और बहुत ही विस्तृत चर्चा करके कंसेंसस डेवलप करेंगे, बिल्डअप करेंगे, देश में इस टर्म में लागू करेंगे, ऐसा माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने कल आप सबके सामने कहा है.
All right, unfortunately, I have run out of time. I couldn't get you the Indus Water Treaty and its implications.